Welcome to Freed on Business. He grew up in South Florida, has been in business here since the early 90s, and has closed over $3 billion in deals. He's seen it all. He always has an opinion, and he's always ready to share it. Informed, entertaining, and connected, he has his finger on the pulse of South Florida's business community. He's Jim Freed, and this is Freed on Business.
All right, welcome to episode 801 of Freed on Business. As we turn the page on the number 800, which we did last week for our Christmas show and Hanukkah show, here's our New Year's show. It's become an annual rite of passage for Freed on Business to have my good friend Bruce Turkel on. We talk about things from years past and what to do in the future. Bruce is my favorite expert on branding and also my favorite keynote speaker. So if you're having a keynote address that you need to fill the speakership for, I highly recommend Bruce. I've seen him speak. I've had him speak at my events. We're going to talk to Bruce about keynote speaking, his random thoughts, and we're going to make sure we talk about his personal motto. And of course, I always want to thank our sponsors for a long time now. Warren Henry, we've been on for 16 years. Warren Henry's been on for quite some time. Certainly over a decade, 12, 13, 14 years, I forget. I want to thank them for allowing me to be one of their brand ambassadors. Always the best price, always the best service, always Warren Henry. And now, always Bruce Turkel. Where's Bruce, Mr. Mendoza?
Always Bruce Turkel. I like
always that. Bruce Turkel. You know, I forgot to remind everybody they can watch us live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, all the other streaming platforms at Freed on Business and at Jim Freed. So Bruce, welcome to the show. It's episode 800. We've been doing episodes and different podcasts and radio shows together for quite some time now. Things have really changed. We've gone from a radio show to now a podcast. You're evolving too. Tell us how you've been evolving.
You know, what's fascinating that you said that. You're right. We have worked through so many different formats. We've done them live. We've done panels. We've done all these different things. But the bottom line remains the same, which is the relationship. It's our ability to work together to get the best out of each other and then to share it with your audience. And what I find so fascinating about that is that everybody focuses on the tools. You know, this is a podcast. That was a radio show. This is a live presentation. But those things change all the time. But what never changes is the human element, is you and I doing something together with your great producer, Senor Mendoza, in the background, making it all work. And that's what it's all about. So it's a thrill to be back and to be your New Year's guy. Thank you for that.
You're my New Year's, you're my old year, you're my looking forward person. Tell me, Bruce, I see behind you, something new. I guess you call it your spirit animal. Tell us a little bit about that and your personal motto.
It's a little hard to see here, but it's right there. Wait, let me get this right. The camera's goes the other way. There it is.
You got it.
Jack in the Box. I was in Buenos Aires. When I ran my agency, we had the office in Miami, but then we had offices throughout Latin America. And I was in Buenos Aires with the president of that agency. We were pitching a piece of business. We went and we pitched it. And we were driving back after the pitch. And, sometimes when you do a pitch, you just stunk the place up. Sometimes you did a good job. But every so often, it was an out of the park, bases loaded, grand slam. You won the business. Even though they didn't tell you that, you just know. And I knew we had nailed it. And so I said to my partner down there, I said, this was awesome. We won this business. That was amazing. We're in Buenos Aires. Let's go somewhere. Let's get a bottle of wine. Let's celebrate. And he's driving. We're on the interstate. He's driving about 90 miles an hour. And he looks at me, not at the road. He looks at me and goes, "You know what you are?" And I said, "No, you want to watch the road?" And he goes, "You know what you are?" "No." He goes, "You are a Jack in the Box." And I said, "What?" And he said, "You are a Jack in the Box. You know what that means?" And I said, "No." And truth be told, I really didn't want to know. I wanted him to watch the road. He says, "They ship you down here, we wind you up, and then we press the button and you jump out and you go, bah! And then we put you back in the box and we ship you back." So cool. And I'm going like, "Dude, we just won this piece of business. I came down to help you. It worked, but Okay, whatever. Now I'm really aggravated. He drops me off at the hotel, no bottle of wine, no nothing. The next day I'm on the plane heading back to Miami, and I was really peeved. I was thinking of it. What an ingrate. I can't believe this guy did that. And all of a sudden I start cracking up because I realize he's right.
Yes.
That's exactly what I was. I went down there. I learned all I could learn. I did the presentation. We won the business. Now put me back in my box and send me home. I don't want to stay and do the work. I don't want to run the account. I just wanted to do that part. That's my skill set. So I decided that the Jack in the Box is my spirit animal. And I came up with a motto, which is 3 lines. It's show up, blow up, right? I get there and then I blow up out of the box and then giddy up. Show up, blow up, and giddy up. And I built my business around that, and it's worked beautifully.
It really has. You spoke for one of my groups, the University of Florida Center for Real Estate Studies. You were tremendous. We had you speak last. So usually everybody kind of leaves right before the last speaker because it's in Orlando and everybody wants to beat traffic going home, leaving at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, you leave later than that, you hit rush hour. You kept everybody in their chair. And one of the things that I really love is whenever you come on the podcast, we usually get you to do some of your harmonica. I don't know if you have some of that with you back in the back, but hopefully later on in the show, we can get you to do a little harmonica bit. There you go. Just a couple, right? And all these, I want to go back to the chemistry thing for just a second. You watch all these sports, NFL Today, CBS on NFL, whatever it is, and they always do these fake laughs, and they always pound each other on the back and pretend that they're having a good time. It always makes me kind of want to turn to another station and watch, Discovery Channel, at least until kickoff. But, the chemistry that we've had is really tremendous. And, it's transcended a long time that we've been friends. It used to be that we would do, promote this show. We would use hashtags. We would use catchphrases. Exactly. But things are changing. The algorithms that these social media tech giants are using now has been finding people based on what they like. And so I really find it much more important to have content that people like, that's engaging, and I'll blow your ego up and pull you right out of the Jack in the Box on this one. You're just that. You're very entertaining. You're tremendous. I love watching you on your speeches. I know that you're highly trained. I know it seems like it comes off really naturally, but I know you've gone through a lot of paces to learn how to project to an audience. What are some of the tips that you've implemented to make yourself entertaining? What are some of the highlights that you typically have when you speak to an audience?
There's a few things. One of the things you just said made a lot of sense, that it looks like you just pulled it off, but it actually takes a lot of training. The saying is spontaneity takes a lot of preparation. And so knowing your material, knowing what you're going to talk about is critical. Also, having some degree of stage skills. I have no interest in being an actor, nor do I think I'm a particularly good actor, but I've taken a lot of acting classes to understand stage presence, stage skills, how you use a stage. It's very true that a speech, a presentation, is actually a conversation. You're having a conversation with the audience, even though you're the only one talking, meaning you have to be looking at them, listening to them, watching them, feeling how they're responding. You've heard the expression, read the room. You've got to be able to read the room, and you've got to understand what's going on in the interaction between you and them. And that's critical because it allows you to then modify what you're doing in order to make a difference to the audience. One of the things that I found that worked really well for me that I didn't know would pay off, but of course, all your skill sets that you've developed over years always help you in new ways, is all the years I spent playing in bands and playing on stages, playing music, not presenting. But it did give me some idea of the give and take of an audience. I used to play at an acoustic showcase run by a guy named John Brown. And John used to put up different acts. And he was sort of a raconteur, older guy who had been a professional musician his whole life. He had played with Mama Cass in a band and with other famous people in bands. And so he took it upon himself to teach some of us who might have been proficient with our instruments, but certainly weren't particularly good entertainers, how to do a better job. And one of the things that he said that I've always kept in mind is open big, close bigger, and in the middle, try to be interesting. Meaning, take your best story, if you're going to be on stage, and use it last. Take your second best story and open with that. And what I learned later in my studies was that's called recency and primacy. Recency is primacy and recency. That's right. Primacy is what's the first thing someone saw. So you walk out on stage, they're making a decision. Am I going to listen to this person, or am I going to go check my marital status on Facebook? And so you've got to do something to grab them immediately. Primacy. If you go to a concert, usually a band will play their second biggest hit first because that sucks you in. Then in the middle, they can play whatever they want. But then recency is what's the most recent thing you remember, which is the last thing somebody did. And that's why bands always encore with their biggest hit. You go to see the band, you go to see the Eagles, you're waiting to hear Hotel California. You can be sure they're going to close with that. Because when that last note resonates in your head, you leave thinking, oh my God, that was amazing because of recency. So primacy and recency, and I've heard it taught in lots of different ways. John Brown called it that. My friend Bill Stainton, the great speaker, called it primacy and recency. Knowing that allows you to then create your programming.
You know, I watch a lot of stand-up comics at night just because it's so fun and funny. And I realize that that's in fact the way that they do it too. You know, one of the other things I wanted to talk about, since it's the end of the year, beginning of the year, is personal evolution. You know, I work with a new group. I do something completely different than I did about 12 or 18 months ago. And the team that I work with said, we're going to teach this old dog new tricks. And then they keep adding new tricks as we go along. And I've really been very satisfied that I've been able to evolve and change within my professional sphere. You've evolved. You've gone from advertising, I'm going to have to say it this way, Bruce, I hope you'll accept it, to entertaining. You know, you got great eyebrows, Bruce.
One of the reasons when I used to be on television all the time, one of the producers told me one of the reasons we call you back, and I didn't wear glasses when I was on TV. I don't really need it to see the screen. They used to say, we call you back because you give good eyebrow. And I didn't know what that meant. I asked her and she said, well, nowadays, so many people watch television with the volume off. They're either in a bar or a restaurant where there's closed captioning and it's up on the screen, or they're watching on their phone or they're watching on their tablet and they have the volume off. So that you having eyebrows that do that, they said people see that and they realize you're saying something interesting because of those eyebrows going up and down. I had no idea that was an asset. Now, the funny thing is, someone asked me once if I dye my eyebrows black because my hair is gray. And I said, no, I actually dye my hair gray. What? But no, it's bizarre that my hair is this color and my eyebrows are that color, but I have nothing to do with it.
That's great. Well, you got great genes, that's for sure. You know, we're evolving now the Freed On business. We're moving it away from LinkedIn, moving it more towards YouTube, and basically making it its own standalone brand after being linked to me personally for quite some time. You know, I think that the evolution and change part is so very important as the time goes on throughout the year. I'm going to ask you to think about it a little bit, and then we're going to come back after our tip of the hat to Warren Henry. I'm going to ask you to kind of help us wrap up the show with your one big takeaway, because you were terrific on the way in. We're going to ask you to hold and think about it, and then we're going to have Bruce Turkel on his best note on the way out. We'll be right back.
Primacy and recency, I would have done that. I didn't think of it ahead of time, but I will do that in the next few seconds you give me.
Oh, you were tremendous. Believe me, Bruce. You grabbed everybody right at the beginning. But we're gonna save something really tremendous for the end with Bruce Turkel. We'll be right back with Bruce Turkel's final thought. It's always a money thought. So stick with us. We'll be right back. And this is where we, for Bruce, we'll call him. This is where we toss it to Senor Mendoza. remind everybody to check out our friends at Warren Henry. They've been with us now for hundreds of episodes, in a number of years, well over a decade. I want to thank Larry, Eric, Warren, Ismet, everybody over there, Ronaldo, Gerald, all the people that take care of myself and my family, my friends and my clients. We're all members of the Warren Henry family. You should be too. Land Rover, Range Rover, Infiniti, Jaguar, and now Lincoln. They've got a brand new Lincoln Center up there at 151st and Biscayne. Great Audi store up in Gainesville. Down in the Keys, they sell all their great nameplates. Land Rover in South Dade, they've got that, and they've got one out in West Broward. All great places, all award-winning service, all award-winning products. Make sure you become part of the Warren Henry family. Always the best price, always the best service, always Warren Henry. Well, I want to thank everybody for being here on episode number 801 with our good friend, Bruce Turkel, Mr. Mendoza, Senor Mendoza. Where's Bruce?
I'm here.
Yeah, you weren't showing up. So, Bruce, we're here at the end of the show. Let's hear your takeaway, your bottom line. Please share your thoughts with our listening audience. And I want to remind everybody, Bruce makes a tremendous keynote speaker. He's done it for events that I've been a part of, that I've been the event planner of. Everybody leaves happy and fun. So, Bruce, give me some recency.
So I have a question for you. I heard you play Auld Lang Syne, that punk version. I assume that was Green Day, although I don't know. And so I don't know if you know, but Billy Joe Armstrong, who's the lead singer of Green Day, about as punk as you get, except maybe for the Pixies and the Pogues, but just did an album with Norah Jones. Norah Jones is laid back jazz, and they sing standards together. Now, imagine the guy who just screamed out Auld Lang Syne, which is a standard, but he did it in a punk format. Imagine him singing with Norah Jones, and they don't do it in a punk format. They actually recreate these standards. What that tells you is this guy has an enormous amount of talent and ability, and you've only seen one small part of who he is and what he does, because now he's with Norah Jones, and they're singing this laid-back classical stuff, which leads me to believe that we all bring talents to the table that we have not exploited or used in all of the different ways we can use them, because we have been put in a box. We've been pigeonholed. We've been set to do something a certain way. And imagine if you could take what you could do, what you're capable of, who you are, and present it in a new way. And certainly if you're up on stage, you can do that. So I've been playing in bands, as I said, for years, first playing trumpet in bands, playing guitar in bands, and playing harmonica. And people always said to me, why don't you play music when you speak on stage? And I never did. But finally, for some reason, I tried it and it went over really well. And little by little, I developed it to where now I close my presentations, primacy and recency, right, with my most valuable thing, which is not me playing harmonica. It's teaching my audience to play the harmonica. And I have these little harmonicas that have my name on them, and they're in these really nice cases. And people go away being able to play a Beatles song on the harmonica, even if it's an event for healthcare workers or CPAs or something they weren't expecting. And that leads to my recommendation, which is to figure out how you can take some of who you are, some of what you do, some of what matters to you, and you can give it to the people that you want to benefit, either to do business with or to make their lives better or whatever. Not sell it to them, but give it to them. And by doing that, you establish a connection that they wouldn't otherwise have. Now, this will all come very naturally once you figure out what it was. For example, recently I was somewhere playing and my mother gave me a picture of my father when he must have been, I don't know, probably 18 or 20, of my dad playing the harmonica. I didn't know my dad played the harmonica. My dad was a violin player and was a guitar player, but I never knew that my dad played the harmonica. And so now when I talk about it on stage, I talk about that. Everybody who hears me talk about that is not thinking about my father and the harmonica. they're thinking about their parents and who their parents were and how it relates. That's exactly what you were doing. I saw your face light up because you were now taking that story and applying it to your life. So here's the tip. You tell your story about their life. You tell your story in such a way that it creates a human emotion that someone else feels their own way. And if you can do that, the connection is established. And all of a sudden, you move from being another professional, another performer, another service worker to someone people have a relationship with.
Goes back to our theme that we've had this whole time. We started the show with our relationship. We've had a relationship for decades. It's I always like to say it's always all about them, which you taught me to do.
Yeah, because I wrote a book titled It's All About Them.
Yeah, and is that all there is, Bruce?
Is that all there is? There you go. Here's the other book. And there's 4 more up there.
Yeah, so
Building Brand Value and New Design Miami.
You're tremendous as a speaker, as a friend, as an entertainer, as an advisor. I take your advice. The podcast is how I connect with people, different people with all kinds of different ways, and hopefully bring value and kindness to their life. I want to thank Bruce Turkel for being a regular on the show. I want to thank our friends at Warren Henry. I want to thank the University of Florida Center for Real Estate Studies for bringing me my mentees and my interns. I want to thank you, our audience. Without you, we wouldn't have a podcast. But again, I want to thank you, Bruce, for your years of guidance. I want to wish you well in 2025. Continue to be that jack in the box that you are. Remember, you can listen to Freed on Business wherever you hear your podcast, Spotify, LinkedIn, Twitter, Twitch, not Twitter anymore, but YouTube for sure. Our YouTube page gets lots of hits. Remember, there you go, Mr. Mendoza. That's our new trick in the box for 2025. This is Jim Freed for Freed on Business. Remember, everybody, the person who wants to do something finds a way. The other finds an excuse. Look at Mr. Bruce Turkel. He finds the way to get it done no matter what. God bless you and God bless America. Mr. Mendoza, you rock the show.